Hi, everybody. So for this example, we're working from the circuit from the last example, but instead of having two momentary buttons, these buttons are now going to be toggle buttons. So what's the difference between momentary and toggle? With a momentary button, um, you have to be pressing your finger down for anything to happen. And if you're not touching the circuit, then nothing is going to happen. But with a toggle button, you can press and then let go, and then that button changes from one state to another state, so that you can go through different options on your circuit, like with your hands free, and then you could play with this and go through different settings. And so what we're doing with this circuit is this button on the bottom is going to turn the LED on or off. So if I click it, now it's on. The top button now is going to switch between the two states, the two possible states of automatically fading or fading with or letting you fade with the potentiometer. Okay, so you might notice sometimes I have to click it a few times to get it to work. And this is an issue we'll fix in the next lesson that has to do with basically if you click this button down, it pulls it multiple times before you can actually release it up. And so the way that you fix that is with something called debouncing, and we'll get to that in the next lesson. But this one is just about how do we get the states and how do we use the states. Okay, so this is how this circuit works. So I'm going to go over to the Arduino code. So this is a working example. And now I'm going to open this start code. Okay. Okay, you should be able to see that now. So what do we have here? It's a lot of stuff from before. So we have a pulse width modulation, LED pin 9, we have a brightness, fade, this is all the same from before. Now we have these four new variables. LED mode toggle, which is going to refer to this top button. That's going to be the variable you actually put that button in. LED on toggle is going to refer to the bottom button. LED mode toggle state is going to refer to what state that top button is in. Is it in one state or another? So every time you press it, it changes from one state to another state. And then in this last variable, LED on toggle state is saying, is this bottom button in the on state or the off state? And then down here, and so this stuff we've done before, so pin mode, LED is output, serial begin, it's just so that we can see the serial monitor. Okay, so now we're assigning the digital read pin 2, which is this top button, to LED mode toggle. And then we're saying if that's pressed, set the LED mode toggle state to the opposite of what it was before. So this is a little like trick to say, whatever this thing was before, set it to the opposite. So set it to the other version of that. And then we're going to just print that. So I'm going to run it. And then we'll be able to see now a bunch of zeros and then a bunch of ones. So you'll notice, well, you should do this yourself. I don't think it's not recording this screen, but just do it yourself. And when you do it, you'll notice you might have to press it a couple times. And this is the issue that we're going to try to fix before next time. And if you just hold it down, what you'll see is it toggling between zeros and ones very quickly. And this is why you're having an issue sometimes, is that it'll land on the previous one. Okay. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added the code that we need to read the second button. And it's the same as the first one. So digital read 4 is assigned to LED toggle. If that button is being pressed, change the state from one thing to another. Okay. And then if we pulled the state, we could see that it was actually working. Okay, so what do we do with it now? We're going to use a series of if statements. So if LED mode toggle state and LED on toggle state. So we're going to have to check what both buttons are doing, because we want the bottom button to actually turn the thing on or off, so that the top button is only going to change the states if the bottom button is in an on state. If it's in an off state, the top button is not going to do anything. So what I'm going to do now is just copy the code from the last example. And this is the code that's making the potentiometer do something. So now when I run this, what I should get is the ability to change the brightness with the potentiometer, and the other state is just going to do nothing. And if you click the button on the bottom, okay, so it should sort of work. Let's keep going. So, and then we're going to say else if we're not clicking that first button, LED mode toggle state, or not if we're not clicking it, but if the state is in an off position, then we're going to say and so now this is asking, is this top button not being pressed? And then we're going to go into the automatic mode. And is the bottom button also being pressed? So we're for both of these different states, we're asking, is the bottom button on? Because that's when we want to actually have something happen. So I'm going to go in and copy the code from this. So now we should be able to toggle between two different states. So if you click the top button, now you should get it fading automatically between a high amount and a low amount. So it's fading very quickly now. Maybe you can figure out why. It's because we don't have a delay in here. If you're following along, so I'm going to put a delay 30, and then if you do that too, now you'll see the fade slow down a lot. Hmm. Okay. So yeah, it is a little bit buggy because we haven't put in the debouncing yet. So just give it a second. Sometimes if you're pressing the button a bunch of times, the connection actually has a buffer and it gets like full. So you might need to just wait a second and let the buffer of the serial connection like empty a little bit. Okay. Now we can say else if none of those things have happened, turn it off. And now this should have the functionality that I showed at the beginning. And I'll go back to the I'll go back to the circuit, and now we can see it's off. I press this button. Now the LED is on. It's in the auto fading state. If I press this button now, actually, there we go. Now it's in the state that lets me change it with this. If I go back, try to get it to be in the fading state. Now it's in the fading state. And then if we want it to go off, now it's off. Okay, that's all for now. In the next video, we're gonna make this work better and go and work with debouncing so that when we press it down, it just works. Okay.